subcommittee. I'm David Barker. I'm going to be chairing the subcommittee this morning. But before I go on to the rest of the introductions, can I pass over to Democratic Services to do the housekeeping arrangements, please?
Thank you, Chair. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please take instruction from staff and stewards. The assembly point is at Tudor Square. Please can I request everyone to switch mobile devices to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of the meeting. The meeting today will be webcast and the recording will also be available for people to view later through the Council's website. While ever the meeting is open to the public, photography, video and sound recording of the proceedings is permitted. However, the Chair has discretion to withdraw or suspend this permission, for example, if the recording is disrupting the conduct of the meeting or is being undertaken in a manner which could capture personal information, or in the event that a member of the public participating in the meeting objects to being recorded. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any apologies for today's meeting?
Nope.
Do members have any declarations of interest on this item? That's good. So, I will now ask the members of the committee to introduce themselves.
Good morning, I'm Barbara Masters, Councillor for Ecclesall.
Good morning, I'm Councillor Peter Gilbert, Councillor for Ecclesall.
And we have a number of council officers working with us today. Could I ask you to introduce yourselves, please?
Morning, Samantha Bond, Legal Advisor to the subcommittee.
Good morning, Shimla Finch, Licensing Officer, and I'll be presenting the report today.
Sam Walstow, Democratic Services.
And could I ask the interested parties, starting with Julie, we'll just go along the row down to the applicants, just to introduce yourselves, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I'm Julie Haig, Safeguarding Licensing Manager.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, David Clutterbrook from Council Trading Standards team.
Good morning, everyone. Robert Souter from South Yorkshire Police Solicitor.
Good morning, Chair. Catherine Jarvis, Police Licensing Officer, Sheffield.
Good morning, all. Harminder Baines, licensee for the premises at Southey Green Road.
I am Kamaljeet Sangha, just a friend of Harminder Baines.
Simran Singh, friend of Harminder Baines.
Well, you are all very welcome to the meeting this morning. If anyone got as far as page 95 in the pack of papers, then you will see that the procedure to be followed this morning is outlined there. And at point 4 of that, it says the solicitor to the committee will outline the procedure to be followed at the hearing. So, Sam, could I ask you to outline the procedure, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just apologise for all the drilling that started at bang on 10 o'clock this morning, so that's really helpful this morning. So if everyone could just use the mics, it does help with the acoustics of the room, and it's also, given that we're being webcast, it does ensure that the mics and the screens can pick up everyone's faces and what they're saying, so that'd be really helpful. Does anyone need a copy of the papers? Have you had them through? You got one? Lovely. So yeah, as the Chair said, the procedure's right on the back at page 95. So the licensing officer, Hugh Shimlin, this morning will introduce the report. If there are any questions concerning the report, it can be raised by members and other parties present. So if there's anything that's incorrect or that needs updating, so we can get that amended for the record. I will head first to the applicant for the review, so South Yorkshire Police, just to detail the review application and to expand on what's already been submitted in the report. Members and officers can ask questions, and with the leave of the Chair, you'll be able to ask South Yorkshire Police questions as well. We'll then head to the other representatives for the other responsible authorities. So we've got Trading Standards and Safeguarding here today. So they'll also detail their relevant representations. Again, members can ask them questions, and with the leave of the Chair, you can ask them questions again. Once we've done to that, we'll head over to the premises just to respond to the representations made, both written in the report and here at the hearing today. Members and officers can ask you questions, and again, with the leave of the Chair, everyone on that side has the opportunity to ask you questions as well. Everyone will be given the opportunity to sum up. You'll have the final say, given that it's your premises we're here to consider today. So we'll take that from you, and then we'll take the options as detailed in the report from Shimla. Members will then go into private session to take legal advice and consider the application. So if you want to wait around this morning, we can give you that decision a little bit later on. The decision of the Licensing Committee will be given in accordance with the requirements of the Licensing Act 2003 and regulations made thereunder. Any time during the hearing, members can request legal advice. So we could do it in open session as we are now, or private, where we'll just ask you guys to nip next door while we have discussion. We'll invite you back in and let you know what that was. And as we've already said, the hearing is a public hearing and it is being live webcast, and the recording will be uploaded to the internet following that. And that should be everything. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sam. So that's the process. Could we have the report then, please, Shimla?
Thank you, Chair. This report is to consider an application for the review of a premises licence under Licensing Act in relation to Best 1, 267 Southey Green Road. The review application was submitted by South Yorkshire Police on the 12th of January 2026 due to offences committed under the Licensing Act, which refer to the sale of alcohol to children and undermining the licence and objectives of preventing crime and disorder, public safety and the protection of children from harm. The application details that a review has been submitted due to 2 failed test purchase operations, repeated breaches of licence conditions and failed engagement with the premises licence holder to remedy the issues raised. A copy of the application documents and supporting evidence which details this further is attached at Appendix A of the report. South Yorkshire Police are recommending after the findings that full revocation of the premises licence would be appropriate. During the consultation period, supporting representations have been submitted by Sheffield Children's Safeguarding Partnership, Trading Standards and the Licensing Authority. Full details can be found at Appendix C and all parties have been invited to attend. There are no financial implications arising from this application, however additional costs may be incurred should the matter go to appeal. Our legal position on determining applications is at paragraph 6. And it's recommended that members carefully consider the application for a review alongside any other representations made and take such steps as detailed in paragraph 6.2 of the committee consider appropriate for the promotion of the licence and objectives. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Shimla. Have members got any questions on the report at all?
No, Chair.
Do the applicants have any questions on the report? Does the licensee have any questions on the report? If not, then we'll go straight over to the applicants, which is South Yorkshire Police, to put your case across to us this morning.
You'll be glad to know that I intend to be relatively brief this morning. It's an application by South Yorkshire Police for a review of the licence held by Best 1, the licence holder being Mr Burns, who is present. The application was submitted now 2 months ago. The grounds of the application are prevention of crime and disorder, public safety and protection of children from harm. It's supported by other responsible authorities and you'll hear from them in due course. The premises have been licensed since November 2005 and the current licence holder, Mr Burns, is an experienced licence holder with other licences held. The premises came to our attention 10 months ago, 22nd of May of last year. There was the sale of a vape to someone who was under 18. Now, sale of vapes is not a licensable activity, however, it is a regulated activity, and by that I mean you can only sell them in specified circumstances, such as being over 18, very similar to alcohol. So that's an indication of concern from South Yorkshire Police's perspective. Due to that, there was what's known as a support visit in June of last year, where officers attend, talk about the incident, the failed test purchase of the vape in May, and offer support, assistance and guidance as a way of working with the premises to ensure that compliance is achieved going forward. Unfortunately, there was then a test purchase in September of last year, the 20th of September, which was a test purchase of alcohol, which is the sale of alcohol is a licensable activity. A police cadet was able to purchase alcohol, and it resulted in a fixed penalty notice being issued by the person on the person who was working on the shop floor that day for the sale of alcohol to someone who was under 18. That resulted in a joint agency visit on the 26th of September, so the following week, very similar to the support visit in June, explaining what the issues are, providing support and assistance. This time it was a bit more vigorous in terms of there was a licensing compliance check undertaken, and it was noted that there were various conditions which the licence was not being complied with, namely the CCTV. The licence conditions require the CCTV to record for 28 days, and it didn't record for a sufficient period of time. I think it was 8 days it recorded for. The reason I highlight that is because it's a regulated industry, but it's largely self-regulated, as in people should report incidents themselves, or the CCTV covers incidents that can be reported by third parties. So if the CCTV doesn't work, it very much undermines the ability of agencies such as the police and yourselves to oversee the premises. The joint agency visit resulted in an action plan being proposed and verbally agreed by the licence holder, and the suggestion that a voluntary variation of the licence should be applied for, and that would have been supported by South Yorkshire Police. That was to tidy up the licence, to make it clearer, and to impose some additional conditions. And the action plan was really highlighting issues that had been identified and was a path map, a roadmap to try and achieve compliance. That was emailed to the licence holder, but there appears to have been some miscommunication between the email address given and the email address recorded, which wasn't highlighted until early November. So there was a break of maybe 6-7 weeks. However, throughout that time, Mr. Benz, who has previously had good contact with South Yorkshire Police and other licensing agencies, was aware that he should be expecting an email, and at no point did he seek to chase, saying, "What? Can you give me a follow-up from our meeting?" He acknowledged the email with the action plan in November. Unfortunately, that would appear to be the high point of his compliance or his engagement, because after the acknowledgement, things went quiet. There was a number of other emails and chaser letters saying, "Look, we've had these issues, we've decided to undertake this work with you, can you please tell us where you're at with the additional work undertaken, can you please tell us how the application to vary is going?" And it's effectively been a wall of silence from him. I believe there has been some attempt at engagement late last week, and I'm sure you'll hear from him about them. The reason for the review isn't a single issue. It's not, if it was just the failed test purchase of the vape last year, that doesn't necessitate a review. And a single failed test purchase of alcohol doesn't normally necessitate a review. But the failed test purchase for the vape, followed by the failed test purchase of the alcohol, followed by the lack of engagement and apparent lack of understanding of how serious the incidents were, gives us real cause for concern, especially given that he has previously engaged well. I don't intend to say anything more, really, because the application is very much, those are the facts, and the ball is very much in his court.
Thank you. I'll open this up to questions then now. Barbara, is there anything that you'd like to ask the police at this stage? Peter?
When did it become a best one? April this year.
Sorry, April of this year. It's still myself and my wife that are trading there. The name on the front is really the main supplier. So previously it was NISA, and then this year I've left NISA as my supplier, preferred supplier, and I've gone to Best Way, and they put a free signage up front that says Best One. They put new lights on, so nothing's really changed. You know, there's no ownership change or anything like that. It's just my supply route has changed to the store.
Thank you.
I'll turn this off.
Thanks. Can I just ask, prior to the initial sale of the vape to the underage person, had there been any previous concerns regarding this establishment?
No, nothing at all.
And you did mention that previous good engagement from the licensee. I just wonder if you could tell me a bit more about that.
Certainly. I've been a licensing officer for Sheffield for 6 years now, and I first met Mr. Baines with regards to his pub that he runs in Foxhill in 2020, around the time of the reopening for premises after COVID. You had some issues with regards to a manager where we worked closely and some complaints of noise, but they were all resolved. Mr. Baines worked with us, attended the meetings, was very proactive in trying to resolve the matters there. And ultimately, when all the engagement with the manager failed, Mr. Baines employed a new manager, and that new manager's been working successfully at the pub since, so for about 4 years now, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Sam, is there anything you'd like to ask the police. Does the licensee have any questions for the police? And it is three questions at this stage. You'll have the opportunity to put your case to us later on.
I have no questions at the moment, no.
In the absence of any further questions, then we'll move on to the other responsible authority. So would trading standards like to come next?
Thank you, Chair. I've not got a great deal to add to what's already been heard. Essentially say that trading standards visited, along with colleagues from Safeguarding, on the 25th of June last year to do some sort of general advice in response to the failed test purchase that you've already heard about. And it's fair to say my colleague who went had significant concerns about sort of the levels of, or lack of staff training, if you like, within the shop in terms of the due diligence systems in place or lack of due diligence systems in place. He said he sort of tried to engage with a staff member regarding did they have a till prompt system and how effectively was this being used, but they said something was put through the till and the receipt was thrown in the bin apparently, so they're not collecting these till prompts or evidence of refusals, so the due diligence system's just not there. Yeah, so basic advice will have been given at the time, and then moving on a few months, on the 26th of September, we've designed some of these due diligence packs with all the information needed for retailers for the purposes of combating underage sales. So it'll have things like signage, refusals, books, etc. in them. So that was handed to and signed for by Mr. Baines on the 26th of September 2025. So the guidance has been more formally provided in the form of a training pack afterwards, really. So essentially, yeah, the issues, concerns that there's not really measures in place to combat underage sales, lack of staff training, and yeah, we don't feel at the moment that the shop's in a position for upholding the objective of protecting children from harm. Thank you.
Thank you. Have members got any questions for trading standards? Can I just ask, is what you found unusual? Would you expect to see better compliance in a similar sort of venue?
It's not unusual, unfortunately. You would, I suppose the way due diligence works, you generally, the bigger the company, you'd expect the more procedures. So if you went in a large supermarket, obviously there's procedures as long as your arm, which is what you'd expect. And the courts sort of recognise that you wouldn't expect a small corner shop to have the same levels as a large supermarket. However, you would expect something to be in place, some sort of basic measures, but unfortunately there wasn't anything here.
Thanks. Sam, is there anything you'd like to ask? Does the licensee have any questions? Then we'll move on to Julian, safeguarding.
Thank you, Chair. I think for us, following on from what my colleagues in Trading Standards and Police have said, for the Safeguarding Children Partnership, the unusual part is the length of time it's taken for Mr. Baines to respond. So we got 2 failed test purchase operations. Underage products were sold, and normally licensees will kind of, embrace the action plan and try and implement it quickly. So our concern was we were making very slow progress, but we have made progress. So from the first failed test purchase in May, we finally got Mr. Baines and his staff trained. They've completed the safeguarding awareness training, which looks at due diligence and the impact of what happens when children go out into the community when they're, using underage products. So we're confident about the training. It's completed successfully, Mr. Baines and his team. We were still waiting for a safeguarding risk assessment, which is why I not withdrawn the representation. We were still waiting for that outstanding, and that's important because it records the fact that Mr. Baines has thought about potential risks to children and the local community, and that he's mitigating those risks. It's his evidence. So we were waiting for that. I received that this weekend. So we now have both of the control measures that we were looking for. The issue, the purpose of my representation now is to bring to your attention these control measures are still voluntary, they're not conditions, and Mr Baines could sell the shop and we then default back to the licence conditions that are on there. So we would be hoping and recommending that you give consideration to licence conditions requiring the safeguarding awareness training for management and staff, the risk assessment to be in place, a written one, and obviously for the Challenge 25 scheme to be a robust one where they can evidence their refusals records, their signage and their staff training. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. It's helpful. Members got any questions for safeguarding? Sam, is there anything you'd like to ask safeguarding? Does the licensee have anything to... Then I'll move across to you to respond to the concerns that have been expressed this morning.
Do I stand up? Or? No. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's wireless. Okay. First of all, I'd like to apologise that I'm here today. As one of the members have pointed out, they might expect lower standards in a supermarket from a small corner shop, but I personally hold my standards to be on par with a supermarket. I'd like to say we were very sorry and quite mortified at the 2 failed test purchases. But the essence of today's meeting seems to be this lack of communication. One of the things I didn't notice until Shimla sent me this pack on Friday was that it's been pointed out that the email was wrong. My surname is Baines, B-A-I-N-S. The emails that had been sent to me had spelt Baines the English way, which is B-A-I-N-E-S. I pointed this out on the 29th of October after having spoke to, I believe it was yourself. Yeah. And I was told to email everybody to let them know. I did do that, but I've noticed in this pack that the email on the 1st of October, page 25, 19th of October, page 29, 12th of December, page 31, and the Safeguarding Partnership email dated 28th of January are still spelling my email with an E. I just didn't get the correspondence. You know, there was, for the sake of sending a few things back, we could have all avoided this today. As has been said, I do engage. I do have phone numbers. I think from my records, I have sent a message to the police licence in Catherine on the 11th of November and on, actually, recently as Friday, but I've never had a reply.
I was on annual leave,
okay.
So I didn't reply to the Friday.
I've always tried to engage. I've always tried to do what's right, and I would have done anything to avoid being here today. And if it meant everything which I have done, the CCTV, I know you said it was 7 days, but I think it was 17 days mine recorded.
For what, sorry?
The CCTV, when you came and looked that day. But, it has been upgraded. I didn't know what other proof to bring, but I brought the old one. The new one's in place now. I didn't know what. With regard to sending everything, was it 12 days? I apologise, 12 days. But it's now, I was told that the 12 was 12 and something on the cloud. But to get rid of that problem, I just said, put me a new DVR in, so that everything's here now rather than something that, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't know how to access cloud unless somebody was there to show me. I collated all my evidence, evidence or things that I was asked for, and I sent them to my son and I said, can you do this? I did ask the question whether it was WhatsApp required or email. I didn't get an answer, but we emailed it. Now, it would appear that the email hadn't got there. I've tried to find out what's happened, and it would appear maybe that the file were too big because they were all pictures, and maybe that's why I didn't get to anybody. But if any of these emails on the 19th or the 12th had come to me, I would have known that nothing had got to the relevant authorities, and I would have made another effort to send things back. We've taken this issue that seriously that on 2 days, 10th of November and the 15th of November, we physically pulled the shutters down on the store. We got all the staff in and we talked about what problems there might be, what issues there are, why we'd got to this situation. One of the things that was highlighted by one of the staff and we've acted upon is the delivery side of issue. When we got the order for deliveries, we'd pack the stuff and we'd send it out with a third-party driver. The question was asked, can we guarantee who the recipient is? And having discussed it, nothing had ever come back. So we felt, okay, that might be an issue. We've stopped deliveries since. We don't do a delivery now. Until I can get my head around it and figure out how to guarantee that the end receiver is of age, we've not done that. Another thing that was highlighted by staff was that my shop's in S5, Parsons Cross, Southey Green, and we've been having a high level of theft. So the staff came back to me and said, look, we're under pressure here. You know, we're being distracted. There's mental, there's physical fatigue here. We've actually stopped stocking, I know you're going to laugh, chicken, steak, high-value meat items, we don't stock anymore. Lurpak, bacon and sausage, we only put 2 products out at a time, the rest are in the back overstore fridge. We've removed coffee from the aisle, brought behind the counter. We've moved deodorants from the aisle and brought behind the counter. It just, whatever I could do to help the staff, I'm prepared to do. I further talked about the BIAB course. Am I saying that right? Yeah. I was angry. I was upset at the time, so I said, all staff, front of shop, you need to go on this course. They asked me if I would give them time till after Christmas, because it's a course. I think it might be over £100. I agreed to that. They asked me if they could defer it till end of January to get the bills paid for, by which time I have now mellowed out and I've said I'll pay for it. You know, I just want you to go on the course, I will pay for it, but at least we're covered. We've done all the risk assessments that Julie had sent us. I think for the sake of an E on my email address, I think this all could have been resolved very early on. And like I said, I am deeply sorry that we're at this stage now where, you know, as members have said, I have always engaged. I wouldn't dismiss it. It's not just my livelihood, it's just who I am. You know, I've been in the area a long time. People know me there by various names, you know, but I'm known in the area, you know, and the online notifications, you know, they've not been. It's brought out a nastiness in people that I didn't know. You know, I've been called all sorts of names, a terrorist, funding terrorism. I don't do engage in social media, but it was something that was, I think people like to now jump on, you know. So once again, this could all have been avoided if I know I've been told it is my duty. I could have, but sometimes when you're dealing with people, they'll tell you they're busy, they're overstretched, they're overstaffed. So I was just waiting for the communication. On the day when Julie and Catherine came, I did try to take notes, and I was told it's not necessary, an email would be sent. I've just been waiting for correspondence, you know, and once again, I'm really sorry that we're here, and I'm really sorry that everybody's time's being wasted because of this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open this up to questions then now.
Yes.
We'll start with Barbara. Is there anything you'd like to ask?
Thank you. Yeah. Do you want to just...
Yes, so.
Right. I mean, I am concerned by all sorts of aspects of this. Basically, we've been told that you engaged with the police when you sort of realised that you couldn't train your manager, you got rid of your manager, so you know all the regulations about pertaining to alcohol and presumably vapes as well. Now, if I send an email that never gets to the applicant, I always get a failed notification, and you must have got that to alert you. I'm assuming you did. That's the first question.
No, sorry, I wouldn't receive the notification if they'd sent an email.
No.
If I can step in, I think it's accepted from South Yorkshire Police perspective that we have sent a number of emails to the wrong email address, and he wouldn't have necessarily been aware of those emails because they wouldn't have gone to his address.
I didn't mean that. I meant that sort of you said that sort of you think that the emails you sent didn't get through because you think the files were too big, and that's what I'm questioning. Didn't you get a failed send notification from what you sent to the police because of the size of the files?
Yeah, sorry, just to be clear, I asked my son to do that, my 18-year-old son, I asked him to do it from his email address, and he never responded to me to say, I think, once again, the youth don't engage in emails, they have the other platforms that they use, and it was only when I asked him, I said, son, I asked you to send this. He'd never been back to his emails, you know, we had to look through all the junk emails he's received up to now, and we found that, yes, he hadn't got there.
Big mistake trusting an 18-year-old. Right, okay. Now, according to the log, you're aware of the issues in June. Now, that was with the vape, and yet I can't see from there that sort of straight away that you didn't take action then to alert your staff to the fact that they've got to be more careful about who to send it to. So why wasn't there any notice of action there about you trying to counteract the poor staff issues?
We've always talked to staff about things like this, which is why when I decided to actually close the shop for a few hours on 2 different days, it was to highlight to the staff as well the real importance of all this, in that rather than having one-to-one conversations previously, we had everybody in on that morning on the 10th and the 15th where I showed them, I went, the shutters are down today, they could be down permanently. I'm trying to emphasise the importance of all this. You know, the till prompt, I think it was familiarity there. How it was supposed to work is you get, somebody comes to the counter, they ask their age, yes, you know, date of birth, yes or no. No, you get a receipt. The receipt is there to save, to then add into, you know, a book afterwards so that you know what you're doing. Now, my failure was I wasn't checking. Their failure was they weren't writing. To counter that going forward, we now, on every shift start, staff, when they do their temperatures for the fridges, they have to sign that they are aware of the Challenge 25. They've all done the safeguarding course. I pointed out to them that we would now like to, every 3 months going on, do this. When we looked at this the other day, once you've done the course, I might be wrong, and I would like to be corrected if I am wrong, it doesn't let you go back and do it. So we've created a generic account where we don't do the test, but it asks my staff to go through everything, flick through it. It's a 10-15 minute, you know, look on the link that Julie sent us, and that's what I'm asking him to do. But this is going forward, obviously. So and also on a daily basis, when they finish their shift, they have to now sign where they say whether there was an incident, there wasn't an incident, if there was an incident, what the incident was. And also, I have been now looking at this. It's now something I've, you know, appreciated, I've took on board, that it's something I need to look more regularly, you know, whether it's daily, every 2 days, you know, so that if there is anything on there, I can go back and question them and say, okay, you talked about this incident. For example, on Saturday, we had a customer that's, she's not mentally stable, and it's happened a few times, but it happened Saturday. She just falls down in the store and starts screaming. You know, it was noted. I spoke to her, I calmed her down, you know, glass of water, and then she went home. But everything now, on the end of a shift, whether it's yes or no, has to be written down.
Yeah, the next thing is sort of, I mean, because you seem to take responsibility seriously, what's your staff turnover? Is it the same staff that's been with you for ages, or is it just new staff? Because the reason I ask is because I can't find it today, but I do believe I read in the notes, it was the same staff member who sold the vape and the alcohol. So I'm curious about sort of, you know, how you deal with staff.
Yes, she's the newest staff we have. She started earlier last year, but I've got some. These are the safeguarding things that we've done before. So I've pulled these out of the file, but from 2023, I've still got the same staff here now that was there. Staff turnover is very low. You know, once every couple of years, somebody might leave. I think the other 3 have been with me over 5 years. Definitely over 5 years, yeah, before COVID. So the staff turnover is quite low, and the newest member is possibly the one that, you know, we haven't trained up as vigorously as the other previous staff that we still have.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I know that you say you've removed certain items from your store. Now, if we remove your licence, you can no longer sell vapes and alcohol. What sort of effect will that have on your business there? Because you're still a convenience store, aren't you?
It's quite a significant part of my turnover. Yes, it is. It's a significant bit, yeah. Which is why, to preserve that, I've taken the decision to remove other things that might be distracting the staff. You know, if they're trying to keep an eye over there, that's what they said to me, that's what they highlighted, and that's what I've acted upon.
Of course, I mean, this is a flippant comment, but basically I'm just thinking about more of counter service for a lot more goods, that's all. Yeah, I'm thinking about sort of having counter service for a lot more goods as opposed to, you know, self-service. But no, that's a comment really, thank you. That's it.
I think you're right there. I think sometimes I do look at things because soap powders, Comfort, Lenore, anything that's over a couple of pounds just seems to disappear quickly. And, you know, what do you do? Where do you draw the line?
Anything you would like to ask? Yeah, thank you. Can I just ask, I get that there's been miscommunications both ways here, but you know, as an experienced licensee, should it have needed these people to tell you what you needed to do?
Sorry, I don't think the issue was what I needed to do. It was the issue they were going to send me things. Then I was to act on it, like the link for the training course. I think that was about it from my point of view, other than the CCTV and the risk assessment. But all they they sent me those items, and then I responded. But I think the later emails were really to say, why haven't you done anything? But I didn't know I hadn't done, you know, like the email had not gone through. If at any stage that one of those emails had come through, I would have then looked into that and thought, okay, something's gone wrong here. Stanleyford Road's only down the road. I could physically gone and handed things over. It just, I didn't know that people were trying to get in touch with me.
But as an experienced licensee and an experienced manager, should you have already had procedures in place to stop underage sales?
We did have procedures in place, but they just weren't documented, I think, to the extent that that was required to do. If I was to say to you that, you know, I did speak to staff and they were trained, short of a signature, there's nothing there now, but now that is what's happening. You know, I accept my failings. You know, I accept that maybe I needed better paperwork, you know, better better evidence, really. That's for which I say I am apologising. Sorry.
So given the action you've told us that you've already taken, do you think that underage sales could still happen in your shop?
I would like to say no, they won't happen. I would like to say that my staff are now, with the Challenge 25, that's what, I think sometimes these phrases get said and they nod their head, but it's taken a lot of examples and showing that what effectively Challenge 25 is giving you a 7-year margin of error. If you feel they're under 25, then they might be under 18. But if they're over 25, then they're all right. I had to highlight quite forcefully that the reason for 25 is that it's not that we can't sell to under 25s, it's given us a margin of error, and we need to know that those that might look slightly under 25 aren't under 18 as well. I think they just kept, I would say things, they would accept things, and if you asked them a question, they could answer the question. But I don't think they appreciated the significance of Challenge 25.
Thank you. Sam, is there anything you'd like to ask the licensees?
Thank you, Chair. I think, almost just to follow on from Councillor Barker there, I don't necessarily think that we're here just because there's been an E included in an email address. I think it's accepted that, you know, emails haven't necessarily always come through, and the police and other agencies have owned up to that, but the premises have been visited a number of times, you've been spoken to, you know what was expected of you for probably about 6 to 10 months, really. Yet we're still here today because those things haven't been done. So it's not just because an email's gone to the wrong place. You had 10 months to do these things. So I just wanted to double check on the action plan. Is there an authorised to sell list in place at the premises now?
Yes, there is, yes.
Okay.
Just to follow up on that, I think 11th of November was when Catherine sent me the link for the course, or between the 5th and the 11th, because the link I'd got originally didn't work. I asked for another one, and then it was sent, and then I acknowledged it on a message. That's why I know that it was middle of November time when I'd finally got what I needed from the police and trading standards.
Well, I mean, they came sort of in June to sort of discuss your staff training, the Challenge 25, your refusals log. That was obviously unsuccessful. We got another test purchase in September, and that's when this action plan was put in place.
Oh, sorry.
So if these guys were all happy that that was complied with now, we wouldn't be here. So what's sort of outstanding from the action plan then? So you say you've got your authorised to sell list, you've upgraded your CCTV, so that will record for the minimum of 28 or 31 days. I can never remember which condition you guys pick. It's one of the two.
28. Yeah, 28.
Like to keep us guessing. You've got the Challenge 25 posters up, and so staff have had the safeguarding training on that, so that's been done. Have you got an incident logbook on the premises as well now? Yeah, grand. Everyone's done the training. So you're going to be safeguarding coordinator, and I think you said you've done the safeguarding risk assessment, and that's gone to Julie now, so that's gone through. And you've trained the staff. So where you get new staff in, will you be training them before they're on the shop floor then?
I will be, but we've also agreed that we will be doing this every 3 months as well. And we will be logging every 3 months.
Thank you. And have your staff got personal licences, or is it just you that's...
It's just me at the moment, but I'm considering putting my wife through as well, and at least 2, maybe 3 members of staff with a personal licence as well.
That's good for me, thank you.
Right. Do the applicants have any questions for the licensee?
I've got a few. So on the 29th of October, you acknowledged the emails from licensing, and then didn't hear it. Well, and then there seems to be a bit more of an exchange between you and Mrs. Jarvis, and then you didn't hear anything, and then the application was submitted on the 12th of January for a review. Why have you waited until today to come forward and say, I've done all these things, and we haven't actually seen any evidence of what you've said you've done? You've bought a box of electronics, and we haven't actually seen the contents of any of these pages. Why has it taken this long for you to do anything?
Yeah, sorry. Once that notice was given to me, I believe the next stage was here. I didn't realise I could have done anything at that stage.
I'm assuming you've not been through this process before, so I've got no issue with that as an answer. The other question, you've just said that you're the only person who works in the premises that has a personal licence.
There's me, and there is also Kamaljeet Sangha that will come in. Well, he comes every day. We start off in the morning with a coffee, and while I'm doing the papers and the magazines and any other thing, he'll have a coffee and read the papers, and he is there with me. But sorry, I suppose that's the answer, not me. I just saying I'm the responsible. It's all down to me. That's how I was answering. Sorry.
So is one of you on the premises at all times?
Yes.
How long's that been the case that one of you's on the premises the whole time? Because the 2 failed test purchases, there was just a single member of staff on.
It has been since it's been brought to my attention that this was happening, just to make sure it never happened again. It's in the since September or whenever it was that I had a visit. Yeah, last.
Yeah, just one. You say you've now got measures in place, and how confident are you going forwards that you're going to stick to them? You get new members of staff that are going to be trained straight away. Is staff training going to be refreshed? Because you can't just sort of say it once and then leave it for, you need to keep on top of it. How confident are you as running your business that you are going to do that?
I mean, having sat here, I won't forget this, so I'm confident that it will be. But also, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing this with current staff and new current staff every 3 months. But obviously, when the new staff comes in, there will be, the first thing they'll do is they will do these safeguard training. We will get the paperwork all signed and ready, and that is how they will now start the new job if anybody comes on board new.
Thank you. I mean, it's just one more question. When you say new staff and you say you've got a problem with shoplifting, how confident are you that whoever's on the tills won't be intimidated by somebody? Because we know that shoplifters and people determined to get what they want can be very aggressive. And I think that's an issue as well.
That has happened. I'm not sure what I can do about that. The staff have been told not to confront anybody. If it's an issue, we will call the police, but that does happen. It's happened recently, but I'm not sure what I can do about that.
What I'm thinking of in relation to vapes and sort of alcohol sales, simply because the nature of both, sort of some people just want their fix, whatever it is, straight away. So, I mean, can you be confident that sort of the staff can shut down and move out of the way or not?
Sorry, when you say shut down, I don't understand. What do you mean shut down? The shop or shut down?
How would the staff be confident that they could refuse to sell the vape or the alcohol to an underage person who is being very aggressive?
Well, the vapes are all behind the counter, so that's not an issue. The aggression doesn't come from somebody that wants to buy alcohol. The aggression will only come from somebody that wants to steal anything. We've never had an issue of somebody insisting they're overage and being aggressive. If they challenge and they haven't got ID, up till now everybody's, you know, left it and walked away. They might try and argue that they're overage and we should believe them, but we've never had an aggression issue on a sale, if that makes sense.
Yes, please, Chair. Just a couple to Mr. Baines. Mr. Baines, you keep emphasising that you weren't aware of what we were asking over the months. I wondered if you could just confirm, do you remember Catherine and I visiting the shop on the 26th of September, and we had a full discussion about all of the expectations? We'd already left a resource pack in June 2025. So Trading Standards and I left that resource pack with all the links and the documents that you needed. Catherine and I met you on the 26th of September and we had a full discussion, and part of that discussion we said we don't want to go down the line of a review, but we're concerned about the control measures. We'd like to see some conditions so that they're binding. Would you consider making a voluntary application to review under a minor variation? And you agreed to that. You said, yes, that's something I can do. And that was in a discussion on the 26th of September. So there was some expectation from us that you would proceed with that, because ultimately that's what we're here for, from a safeguarding point of view, to have the control measures we finally got embedded. We just want them formalised. And do you recall that conversation is the question?
Yes, I do. I do recall, yeah.
Thank you. That's all from me, Chair. Thank you.
I use my microphone. So if there are no further questions, then it's over to people to sum up, starting with the applicants.
Again, I'll keep it short, you'll be glad to hear. Mr. Baines is clearly an experienced licence holder, and he's obviously a competent businessman. He's able to focus his area of business on, he's identified areas of loss for his business and how he's changing those on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis and removing certain items of stock and replacing them with other items of stock due to theft and other difficult issues you face in today's climate. He's also successfully managed a change of supplier, including a change of branding to his store last year, which would have involved some small amounts of concentration by himself. He looks ahead as a businessman. He thinks ahead. He thinks of what he needs to do, and he engages. And it's a shame that he doesn't appear to have the same focus and engagement for licensing, where we accept that there's been some email difficulties, but it's not been a complete blackout. It's been the occasional email that's been difficult. But he has been visited in June, well, in May, failed test purchase, a visit in June, a failed test purchase in September, a visit in September, email communication in October, and then the application for a review in January. And until today, he's effectively stuck his head in the sand and not done anything. And today he's turned up and said, no, I've done all these things, I've done this, I've done that. He hasn't provided any evidence that he's done that. He's saying all the right things today, and that's what I'd expect of an experienced licensee and a competent businessman, but we haven't provided any evidence of it. He hasn't engaged until he's come here and realised that his livelihood is on the line, and we would suggest that's evidence of someone who's not taking the licensing regime seriously, which is why we're here. We didn't want to apply for a review of this premises. We wanted to work with him to resolve the problems, but it's taken him being here before he seems to take it seriously. On that basis, we still make the application to review, and our submissions are still that revocation would be appropriate. However, there are other options available to you, and that can include amending conditions or adding conditions. We have previously indicated, Mr. Baines, that we would like some additional conditions added. They are contained within the pack, and we would simply ask you to consider, if you don't revoke, to consider adding those conditions to focus Mr. Baines' mind going forward.
Move on to trading standards to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. I've not got a great deal to add. I need to say that I'm not entirely confident that the sort of training that's been provided and the documentation that we've been provided is sort of being used and regularly refreshed, and is becoming sort of within the kind of psyche of the business regarding underage sales, that this is something they've got to be on top of every day. Staff have got to be trained and refreshed, and it's not something that you just do once, and it's got to be an ongoing process to keep on top of it. So I'm probably not entirely confident that that's the case, but hopefully it might be in the future. But yeah, that's all I've got to say in conclusion. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I think for the Safeguarding Children Partnership, we're seeking reassurance that the progress we've made to date is embedded formally in licence conditions if the premises continues to operate under the Licensing Act. Thanks, Chair.
And finally, back to the licensee to sum up and have the final say.
Yeah, I accept, this is my failings, this is why we're here. But I would just like to reiterate that, that staff have been trained, staff are being trained, staff are now being monitored. The training we've implemented, we put it down to once every 3 months. They need to accept when they start shift that what they're doing, and they need to sign off at the end of the shift. So we do accept the seriousness. I do accept the seriousness of me being here today. I accept, but I think once again, if I've not received anything, it's hard for me to act on something that I've not received. And if I didn't know I was getting it, I couldn't follow it up. And that is it. That's, I feel, one of the reasons why we're sat here today. And I'm very sorry for that, and I'm sorry for the distress it's caused my own family, and I'm sorry for the time I've wasted of every member here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Shimla, could we have the options then, please?
Thank you. The options open to the committee are A, to modify the conditions of the licence, B, to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence, C, to remove the designated premises supervisor, D, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, E, to revoke the licence, or F, to reject the application for review. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I now ask people to leave the room while we take legal advice and come to a decision? And as soon as we've made that decision, we will invite you back in and tell you. I'll switch it on. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for your time and your representations this morning. The decision of the licensing subcommittee is to attach additional conditions to the licence. Specifically, everything that is in the action plan on whatever page it is in here, it says 35, will be added as a condition, plus anything additional that's in the suggested conditions from the police, because there is a bit of duplication in there, but anything that's not on the action plan but has been suggested as a condition by the police will also be included as a licensing condition, and it will be then an offence to breach any of those conditions, and you will probably find yourself back before this committee should that happen, and this committee would probably take a very different view of matters. But today you've demonstrated that historically you have had a reasonable working relationship with the police, that you can be a responsible licensee, and we hope that you continue when you leave this room and run this shop responsibly and have addressed the concerns that have resulted in you being in this room today, which were not purely down to a wrong email address. These are concerns that are taken very seriously, and you've got people here that would rather work with you to rectify them than to bring you to this committee. So please keep working, keep talking to these people and keep working with them. Okay, and that's the decision of the subcommittee this morning.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow on from that, there will be another condition that's not included in the report pack, but around staff training. So essentially what you said you've already been doing, that they'll be trained before alcohol sales take place, and then the refresher training every however long, and then to be logged as well. So basically, following the hearing, you'll receive a notice that will just formally set out all those conditions. So you've got it in front of you. They'll then go on your licence. I think we'll have a bit of a licence tidy up because there'll be more duplication on there as well. So these will be the only ones that are on there. So you'll know and you'll get a new copy of the licence, you'll know what you have to do. And as the chair said, if the responsible authorities find that these aren't being adhered to going forward, they can apply for another review. And we would be back here again, and we would look at things probably very differently at that time. You can appeal the decision of the committee to impose those conditions on your licence, so the notice will also set that out to you as well, should you wish to do so. But hopefully this has been the shake-up that you need, and going forward everybody can work together to ensure your premises are operating safely and successfully as well. We appreciate everyone coming in today. Thank you.